The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
On BCIT magazine, what will airsoft enthusiasts do under new rules?
A new approach to mental health.
And the BC Hockey League is back in action. Welcome to BCIT magazine. I'm Brittany Alfaro.
And I'm Elijah Polson. Let's take a look at this week's news. Environmental activists gathered along a busy Port Coquitlam highway recently to protest the Transmountain pipeline expansion. Reporter Nate Lewis breaks down the conflict.
With handmade signs and high spirits, people gathered along the Lougheed Highway, just outside Colony Farm Regional Park in Coquitlam.
You know, I like the phrase, think globally, act locally. This is it.
They're here to protest the expansion of the Transmountain pipeline.
When I see people like looking and honking, a lot of people online, they can't be here, but this is, every one of us is representing hundreds who cannot be here.
Trails in the park will be closed for up to 2 years while Transmountain assembles pipe.
I mean, there's so many beautiful nature trails, but cycling opportunities. People come here for walking their dog. This park is home to 200 bird species. We don't want to see the pipeline. We know that it's not just Colony Farm that's being affected, but many, many other natural areas along the route.
It wasn't just adults being out. Some of the younger protesters had a lot to say.
We really liked it, and we don't want to have like almost 11 acres of it destroyed.
Tell Trudeau that we don't want his pipeline. No way.
In an emailed statement, Transmountain said they are committed to returning Colony Farm to same or better condition after construction.
Behind me, you can see some of the markers of Transmountain's early construction, which will begin in earnest tomorrow.
People are waking up. I'm noticing people are waking up to the reality of the climate crisis we're in.
Nate Lewis in Coquitlam for BCIT magazine.
BC has lowered the age requirements for the Oxford Astrazeneca vaccine, but some people are concerned after a woman died in Quebec this week. It's believed she died from a blood clot after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. People over 30 are now eligible to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine at pharmacies across BC. Recently, AstraZeneca was restricted to people between the age of 55 and 65. Health officials investigated whether the vaccine was linked to blood clots in younger age groups and decided the benefits of AstraZeneca outweighed the risk of the rare side effect.
I personally am comfortable with the risks of the AstraZeneca vaccine enough to get vaccinated myself. So I'm still less likely to be harmed by AstraZeneca than I am to die in a car accident or from a random injury at my age. And, you know, I'm not going to stop going in cars. So as a 26-year-old, I'm fairly confident that I won't die of COVID, but there's a risk that I could give it to someone who could die of it.
1.6 million people in BC have gotten a shot with one of the 3 approved vaccines.
The federal government is introducing legislation to ban assault-style weapons. However, the new laws could fundamentally change amateur sports connected to replica firearms. Reporter Jackson Stevens has more.
These guns may look real, but they only fire small plastic pellets. They are used recreationally in airsoft, a sport that is in the crossfire of the proposed federal ban on some firearms.
The impact it would have is 30,000 people would lose their hobby, something that they've grown to love.
If Bill C-21 were to pass unaltered, it would become illegal to own some specific firearms, or any device that is designed or intended to exactly resemble, or to resemble with near precision, a firearm. This could force the airsoft community in Canada to shut down overnight. A petition with over 30,000 signatures is hoping to fight back.
It's a place every weekend when I play. I go out to a field and there could be upwards of maybe 300 people at some times, where we all get together and we chat, we tell stories, and almost like you're sitting around, you meet up and you just get to know people. And it's a very strong community in that sense.
Many participants in the sport say safety is their #1 priority. They believe that creating a governing body to manage the airsoft guns would be a better solution.
Airsoft is in a gray area legally in Canada. It's not a firearm, it's not a replica firearm. There aren't really any laws addressing how airsoft guns are to be handled. The community is asking for instead like airsoft to become like recognized and regulated as a sport, so that there's actual rules in place for how you should be able to purchase these, how you should transport them, and how you should handle them.
If Bill C-21 passes in its current state, the Canadian government will implement a buyback program for assault-style weapons, though it is unclear if this applies to airsoft guns as well.
With the bill on an uncertain timeline moving forward, many in the airsoft community are operating with a guarded optimism that they can save their community and their sport. Jackson Stevens, BCIT Magazine, Richmond.
The debate surrounding graffiti is a hot-button issue across the Lower Mainland. Is it a valid form of artful expression or simply vandalism? Reporter Jeremy Shepard takes a look.
In the Lower Mainland, graffiti is seen covering a wide array of surfaces, from concrete walls to garbage cans. For many of us, it's a subculture we've never truly understood.
It's just like super interesting that there's this whole like underground culture that's like sort of out of the eye of the mainstream, but you still see it every day, you know?
From low-effort scribbles to elaborate murals, street art encompasses a range of artistic endeavors.
But there are a lot of spots in Vancouver where, you know, you can take 5-10 hours, however long you need, and really put a lot of time into it.
Some businesses commission artists for their work, while others pay to have graffiti covered up.
When the customer, come by this building, we say some graffitis, maybe they have bad influence for the business, maybe.
For many, graffiti artists' motives remain unclear.
Some graffitis are cool.
Yeah.
Some are very talented people who do it. But around this neighborhood, around the building that I work in, I don't see any talented graffitis. It's all like pretty much like just to show some kind of a rage towards the wall and like people around here.
Often, the belief is that these artists' talents can be better utilized in more worthy avenues.
These guys are this skill. It's a gift, right? I mean, if you're able to draw, it's a gift. I can do it.
Art is a subjective medium, and to better understand people's motives, we must speak to them and learn from their perspective. Jeremy Shepard, BCIT Magazine.
Coming up after the break, a protest against Myanmar's military held in Vancouver.
And a local makeup artist is getting creative with her business.
I chose BCIT because I know that all the programs are very hands-on. We have our own radio station, like it's one of the best programs that I've ever heard of.
I am starting a job on Monday, so confidence is high.
Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be this fun.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. Demonstrations have been held across the Lower Mainland to support Myanmar's fight for democracy. Reporter Bianca Rego explains what the fight is all about.
Vancouver's Burmese community lays a string of candles on the Vancouver seawall during one of many events. From vigils to protests, the Burmese community has been holding weekly demonstrations to shed light on the civil unrest in Myanmar.
Firstly, we want to show support. We want to tell the world that we are with them in every step of the way, every step in this fight.
On February 1st, Myanmar's military violently overthrew the elected National League of Democracy. Ever since, thousands of people have peacefully taken to the streets to resist what one expert is calling an illegal takeover.
This power grab by the military is reminding them of the dark days of the 1990s and 2000s, when the military had crushed other uprisings, when it had put the country into isolation.
The military has been trying to suppress these demonstrations with water cannons, tear gas, and gunfire. Vancouver's Burmese community is hoping to gain national attention by holding these demonstrations. Their goal is to pressure the Canadian government to intervene and stop the violence that has already resulted in over 400 deaths.
Also hoping the Canadian government finally does something rather than release statements. Hear our voices, hear the voices of people back home.
Until then, Vancouver's Burmese community will continue holding weekly demonstrations to show solidarity for those fighting and dying for democracy in Myanmar. Bianca Rego, Vancouver, BCIT Magazine.
We're joined now by reporter Bianca Rego. Bianca, has there been any progress to resolve the conflict?
The Association of Southeast Asian Nations held a meeting on Saturday to try and bring an end to the violence, but they have yet to take formal actions. Demonstrations continue to persist across Myanmar, and unfortunately, over 700 people have died since the protests began.
Bianca, what is the Canadian government doing to help?
A Quebec MP brought forward a petition in the House of Commons urging Canadian businesses to stop any dealings with the Myanmar military. Sanctions have also been issued towards any Myanmar officials that are connected to the coup. Back to you.
Thanks, Bianca. Many people have had mental health challenges during the pandemic. While most therapy sessions are offered online, you might want to try a COVID-friendly, in-person version. It encourages you to take a stroll outside. Reporter Sadie Chung went for a walk.
Many of us are walking outdoors as a way to get out of the house during the pandemic. But it's also a way for therapists to help their clients with walk and talk therapy.
I take people out into Stanley Park, out into the North Shore, and it's a way for them to release everything that they're thinking about. They can just stop and stare and immerse themselves in the environment around them.
Though the concept of movement in therapy is not a new practice, it sparked interest as a COVID-safe alternative to therapy.
Most people I know feel better when they go outside, even if they don't want to at first. But then also it helps the therapist. Like, it's going to help. It's going to be a positive for both, a win-win.
Although the forecast in Vancouver is often rainy, walk and talk therapy is a rain or shine activity.
I have a session at 7 coming up right now.
Oh, yeah. Jurek says he uses nature as a mirror to help his clients understand the change that's going on in their lives.
Nature's a great teacher because nature's never hanging on to anything permanently. It's always letting go of things that are done, that have kind of done their time. And so it's a kind of a metaphorical teacher. Walking out in nature is that way for people, and it basically reassures you you can let it go.
And nature's clearing space for people to come back in a more evolved way in the world. Sadie Chung in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Makeup artists are getting creative and are brushing off the challenges of the pandemic. Reporter JC Chambers shows us how.
Totally. Sounds good. Just right in there. So
Langley makeup artist Jada Marini is working hard to make sure health and safety is remaining a priority.
I always get my clients to hand sanitize when they come in. And then obviously all my tools are sanitized with 99% alcohol.
19-year-old Taylor Robinson has been a client of Jada since her grad and has come back for more.
All her supplies is really clean, and she cleans her brushes throughout your experience here, so you know that everything going on your face is sanitized.
In the midst of the pandemic, Jada is still able to find clients and make an income.
A lot of people are getting photo shoots, so they hire me out. And then for myself, I'm always getting models to come in my studio just to create all the content I can and fill my time up. And honestly, I feel like content creation is a full-time job in itself.
Jada's strong social media presence and content creation helps bring in clients regularly.
Jada asked me to come in today to take photos for content for Instagram.
I think this will be cool because I knew I wanted to do something smoky on you.
However, with events such as weddings being canceled and postponed, contracts that were created pre-COVID had some missing pieces.
So at first when COVID started, obviously there was nothing in my contract about a global pandemic because that wasn't even in the question. And so a lot of people were demanding refunds.
With new changes, Jada has been able to restore a more organized and fair way to cope with challenges by allowing clients to rebook where needed.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation for both of us, but it's been okay so far.
Jada has managed to work through it and leaves clients feeling pleased with results.
I love my makeup. She did a really good job. She did my makeup for grad too, and I was really happy with that, so I always come back.
Jada's not sure how many events will happen this summer, but things are looking up for 2022. Clients are already asking, and she's getting married herself. I'm JC Chambers in Langley for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up next, calling a foul on geese.
And a room with a new view.
And cut. That's a wrap, folks.
BCIT, your future starts here.
Going live in 3, 2, 1. BCIT Television and Video Production. You've got potential.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. After months of hard work and rejected proposals, junior hockey is back on the ice this spring. Reporter Lucas Chelly explains where they'll be hitting the ice.
A few weeks ago, the Surrey Eagles Junior A Hockey Club was going through practice, completely unsure of whether they would even play another game this year. Now, they have an answer. The BC Hockey League will have a shortened season, beginning in early April.
To get that return to play is going to be so huge to ensuring that we can get back to normal.
It won't be completely normal though, as teams will be separated into 5 different bubbles known as pods. 1 on the island, 2 in the lower mainland, and 2 in the interior. After a 14-day quarantine, teams will begin a jam-packed schedule against the other teams in their pod.
I've seen anywhere from 18 to 20 games potentially being crammed into like a 5 to 6 week period. So 3 or 4 games a week for each team.
The BCHL will be allowing each team to have a roster of 25 players in their bubble, giving them leeway for possible cases. For the Eagles, they won't be hosting any games here at South Surrey Arena. They'll be playing in Coquitlam at the Poirier Sports and Leisure Complex in early April. Having a season this year is especially important for the older junior players who are still vying for university scholarships.
It's huge. I've been fortunate enough to be talking to a couple NCAA schools, and pretty much the main message they all say is that they want to see me play a couple more games before they make a decision.
A safe return to play this year was vital to keep the BCHL afloat, and the league can't wait for the day when this can go back to this. Lucas Celli in Surrey for BCIT Magazine.
Our reporter Lucas Celli joins us with more. Lucas, it seems that the teams in the Coquitlam Pod have changed locations. Where are they playing now?
That's right, Brittany. The Coquitlam Express, Powell River Kings, and Surrey Eagles are not playing in Coquitlam. They are now playing at the Scotia Barn in Burnaby.
And how often are the players being tested for COVID-19?
Well, the BCHL hired a chief medical officer to monitor COVID-19 safety measures in the pods. Players are being tested if they feel sick or show any symptoms. Back to you.
Thanks, Lucas. A popular basketball coach in Pitt Meadows is at the center of a petition to honor him for years of service. Rich Goulet passed away recently, and now friends and supporters would like to have the Pitt Meadows Secondary School gym named after him. Reporter Ben Raymer spoke with a good friend of Goulet, who's behind the movement.
Today I am speaking with Ron Wallsmith, who coached with Goulet for over 30 years. Thanks for coming on, Ron. So how did you come to meet Rich Goulet?
He and I started teaching at Pitt Meadows together in 1979. He came from St. Thomas More and I came from Westview.
What was Goulet like as a person?
Well, he became my best friend, became the godfather of my firstborn son. So he became we were very close, and he's very generous and, really outgoing and lots of fun to be around.
Do you think PMSS should name their gym after Goulet? And if so, why?
Most certainly. Before he came in 1979, Pitt Meadows was not on the sports map in BC at all. And within 4 years, he had won a BC championship in basketball. So all of a sudden, everybody knew about Pitt Meadows. So therefore, the gym should be named after him.
What do you think about the petition that was created for Rich Goulet?
I'm really happy that some of the former players have taken it upon themselves to get this honor for him. It's well-deserved. It is something that I only wish it could have been done before he passed away.
Yeah, totally. So if naming the gym is not an option, then are there any other ways to honor Rich Goulet's memory?
Well, they've talked about trying to name the street in front of the school, the Rich Goulet Way. I mean, that would be something positive. Or, changing the name of the outdoor basketball courts, perhaps, or building some new outdoor basketball courts somewhere in Pitt Meadows and naming them after Mr. Goulet. I think that would be an honor for sure.
Well, that's all the questions I have. Thanks for coming on, Ron.
Okay, no problem, Ben.
Burnaby residents are dealing with a Canada goose overpopulation problem. The geese have been polluting local sports fields and parks. As reporter David Natalini explains, locals are all too familiar with this foul problem.
Gooses, geeses. Laying eggs is the last thing that Burnaby officials want Canadian geese to do this Easter. The Canada Geese Management Plan is the board's response to the growing number of geese around cities like Burnaby and Vancouver. Staff at BC's Wildlife Rescue Association say that populations will be controlled through egg addling.
The government actually allows the permitting to addle the eggs, which is destroying the eggs and allowing the geese there so that they don't actually re-nest.
According to the Vancouver Park Board, Canadian geese don't just eat newly seeded grass, they also dig up holes around sprinkler heads and also defecate on public property. Whoa, watch out. Over in Kensington, girls soccer coach Natalie DeVita says that while geese avoid the fields during practices, the damage they leave behind is an obvious danger to her team.
Yeah, so we do notice quite a bit of geese poop on the field. It is difficult to clean and it poses a risk if any of my girls were to fall or cut themselves and get feces on their cuts and things like that.
Officials want to remind residents that feeding geese at parks is banned. But here, at Burnaby Lake, where food is given to birds by the handful, some people have yet to get the message.
Yeah, I don't think we should feed them, definitely. It's a bit unnerving here because people feed birds here all the time, and I agree we shouldn't be feeding them.
As residents continue to enjoy Burnaby's growing and diverse wildlife, officials are sure to keep a bird's eye view on the community. David Natalini in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
A Vancouver artist wants to add some beauty to this pandemic by opening a gallery with a window on the world. Reporter Layla Kadir shows us around.
On the east side of Vancouver, there's a window art gallery called Outsiders and Others, and it's designed to be a COVID-friendly art community.
So because COVID started and we were all shut down, I knew that I needed to see, as an artist, new culture on a regular basis. And I was given the opportunity to get this small space, so I decided to open a window gallery for COVID.
Visitors can stop by anytime, whether it's day or night, to scan the QR code and get all information needed.
There's a link there that takes you to the current exhibition. You will be able to see every piece of artwork. You'll be able to read everything about the artwork, about the exhibition and the artists, and then you can purchase the artwork right through the site that way.
The gallery focuses on bringing non-traditional, marginalized, and self-taught artists to forefront. Artists such Lucy, who faces a chronic disease.
So I have seizures, which obviously interrupts life, on the generals. I was, trying to describe what was happening, and and I was not really making sense. But I was talking about dazzling and, circles and all this kind of stuff. And so afterwards I gave that some thought, and I thought, what would it be like to bring some of these spots or bring some of these splashes of color or bring some of the contrast into the artwork?
Opening an art gallery during COVID is almost impossible, yet this gallery has succeeded, and it challenges the very notion of what an art gallery should be. Layla Kadir for BCIT Magazine in Vancouver.
If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcitnews.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Alfaro.
And I'm Elijah Polson. Join us next week for more BCIT Magazine.